For the best Italian food in Western New York, Elliott Apollo's, call 716-825-3675. The Lardon Construction Group.
Fubo TV, the official streaming service of Due Champions. FanDuel, the official sportsbook of Due Champions.
For all your summertime needs, beauty pools, as well as kayak pools.
CX Chronicles, your total customer solutions focused manager. W.GG, the official energy drink of Due Champions.
Hey, Sons of Erie, our artwork looks better on your walls. Hamburg Brewing, please visit our tap room on Boston State Road, Hamburg, New York. And finally,
Fat Boy Surf Club for all your surfing needs.
All right, and welcome into another edition of Due's Hockey Hotline. I am back as your host, Matt Diegert, and Beyond716, as always, riding shotgun with me. He was driving last week, did a wonderful job. It was a great show last week. Thank you to all of you guys who joined us and joined in on the conversation. It was a lot of fun. Sitting at work and passing about an hour and a half of time. Just like talking questions and talking Sabres. It was a lot of fun. So, Brian, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you? And I just want to say, man, it is not easy being here solo talking about the Sabres. I'm like, thanks. Great to see Matt back in the saddle. Like, yes, thank you, Matt. So, and Matt was a trooper, doing double duty at work and putting in great comments. So it was a great show as always. And thank you again to everybody that continues to come into our chat and it gives us a lot of value to the show. So we couldn't do it without you all. So we definitely want to hear what you have to say about the Sabres, especially as we go here into the dull days of the summer, so to speak, as we wait to see if anything else could potentially come down the pipe for the Buffalo Sabres.
All I gotta say is it's almost over, Brian. It's almost over. Like I'm kind of upset the summer is almost over, but the wait for sports that's not baseball is almost over. We have Bills training camp coming up in about a week and a half. Sabres going to be reporting and having hockey end of August into September. And then gearing up for the season. So I'm super excited. I can't wait. Can you hear the sarcasm in my voice a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. But it's funny. The summer hardly ever ends here in California. We start, like, when you start going cold in September, we start heating up. I mean, it's a weird dynamic, but it's exciting. We got Bill's training camp next Wednesday. Me and the almighty Whittle, the great one, will have our pod that night as we kick off training camp. So if you're all thirsty for Bills news and kind of pivot to that, come join us. Got Hard Knocks coming up. It's going to highlight the city of Buffalo, in a national way that, the city probably Buffalo isn't always used to, right? So it's a pretty great moment, I think, for the franchise and for the fans. So that should be pretty exciting. And the Sabres, well, Matt, this is the slow time of year. But like we said last week, I think the offseason we have to look at as a July 1st to late August kind of proposition. I do think we could still see some moves now, whether it's going to be the Buffalo Sabres. We'll get into a couple of guys that are still available that maybe the Sabres could still be in on, and we'll get into some other conversations about it. But I think that's how we have to look at, the UFA period is just, that's where dumb money gets spent, right? That day or two, you make a couple signings, and then it gets into the trades and the RFAs and the creative. It's really how good your GM is at that point. And as we know, that's one of our biggest problems.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, and here's the thing: you bring up free agency and things like that. There's still a guy out there that I would love to see on the Sabres, and he's got ties to Yarmo. So, and that's Jack Roslovic. I'd love to see him in a Sabres jersey and a Sabres sweater. Playing on the wing to either Josh Norris or Yuri Kulik, and seeing what he can bring to the Sabres to, because they need something, because it feels like they don't have a top line, right? It feels like everybody's a second line player, minus Tage Thompson.
Yep.
Like Josh Norris shouldn't be a first line center. Yuri Kulik at this point should not be a first line center. Jack Quinn should not be on the top line. Alex Tuck, as much as we love him here in Buffalo, he plays that hard nosed style. He's not a first line player. He's a second line player or a third line player. So
Yep.
they have a bunch of guys that are literally just on that second, or like on the second and third line, that shouldn't move up, and bringing in
Hmm.
somebody like a Jack Roslovic to play with Tage Thompson. I'm okay putting a Josh Norris at center, on first line center, or Yuri Kulik at first line center, and it slots everybody in again, kind of like on defense, like we were talking about. It
Yep.
slots in everybody a lot better, and getting Bowen Byram signed. As much as I was against that, I still am. I still think
Hmm.
that that helps to facilitate a trade with either Bowen Byram or Matthias Samuelsson.
Hmm.
Um,
Absolutely.
so one of those two guys is probably going to be on the move.
Yep. And the Byron contract in itself wasn't a problem. I mean, the money was okay, 6.2 for 2 years. I think that's good for the Sabres, where it still gives you the flexibility of his cap number still manageable when other teams look at him, right? But you got to play him with Darlene, in my opinion, because you want to keep his numbers high to keep his you want you want him to be attractive to other. Hey, speaking of studs, hey, real deal. See again. We're seeing John Rett in the morning just brightens my day. So
It just brightens
yeah,
everything up. I mean,
yeah,
it
I
just
know.
that, because he was always smiling, man. Like, no matter
Yeah,
what, even through the bad times of the Sabres, he was always trying to put a positive spin on it. And that's kind
yep.
of what we bring. What we bring here is trying to
We
put a
try.
positive spin on it. But
We
it's
try.
kind of tough. It's kind of tough. It's kind of
It
tough.
gets tough. Yeah, I mean, there are some positives with the save. We've talked about this too, Matt, the last couple of seasons. I mean, 13 game winless streak aside, the last couple of years haven't been that bad of a team. Truthfully, they haven't been the dormant. You know how bad Chicago and San Jose were last year. We're not even close to that bad. We're just not good enough to make the playoffs. I mean, we're about a 500 team. 30. We missed the playoffs by 1 point. We went 41-32 a couple of years ago. We were a pretty decent team. I mean, that was a pretty
Mhm.
solid team. I mean, it's like being 9-8 in football. Like we weren't an embarrassment by any stretch. The embarrassing part is the 14 years of missing the playoffs. But so at least for that,
Yeah,
there are pieces on this team. There is some hope there. But like you said, it's getting that top six guy to slot everybody in the right position, right? Like you and I love Zach Benson, right? But
yeah.
Zach Benson probably would be better equipped being a second or third line guy as he continues to grow his offensive game and have a veteran there to kind of show him the ropes a little bit,
And
just
you kind of brought it up a little bit, as far as, like, and I'm going to give you an analogy. I really think that this iteration of the Sabres reminds me of the Dick Duran Bills. For any Bills fans
oh,
out there that remember back there,
okay.
always 7-9, 7-9, 7-9. Um, never good enough to, or never bad enough to get like that top draft pick to get a quarterback in here. Even like the year that Ben Roethlisberger came out, and the Bills were super hyped on him, and couldn't acquire him because they couldn't get up ahead of the Steelers.
Yep.
And the Steelers took him, and the rest is history. And you see what he did his rookie year after Tommy Maddox went down, and went 15-1, losing to Tom Brady in the playoffs, and then the next year wins the Super Bowl. But
Yep.
so that's really kind of where I see the Sabres team, as an analogy, is
Hmm.
those drought Bills. They're never bad enough to get that top guy. They're never good enough to um, they're never good enough to make the playoffs or even go on a little bit of a run.
Yep.
We got Brandon Bean in here, and he's like, we got to get a quarterback. So he did what he could to trade up and go get Josh. Got all the
Yep.
way up to 7, and was able to get Josh, and the rest is history for that. And that's what turned around the franchise. And I really
Hmm.
do, like, I keep going back to this well, but I really think that, um, had they paid for Jack's surgery, I think that this team is probably turned around by now.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that this team, the teams. inability to be a good functioning organization and be, let's be honest, pretty dysfunctional at times, did lead to, remember, people got to remember, Jack Eichel signed an 8-year extension. Okay. He decided to go
Mhm.
past some of his UFA. He decided to do that. Nobody put a quote gun to his head, for lack of a better term, to say, hey, I'm going to sign for 8 years, right? He could have said, you know what? I hate this place. I'm going to go 1 a year or trade me right at that point. So he decided to do it. He was it, right? So there was a point where he wanted that to happen, but situations, things happened that forced him out. Sam
Well,
Reinhart, a little bit of a similar situation. And look, imagine again, you put these two guys on the Sabres right now. Forget it, any other move,
right.
right? Our centers are set. Tage. I mean, Tage could still be here. We could have still traded Ryan Riley. Imagine him with Jack Eichel.
Well, and that's the thing. Like you're telling me, like you take Alex Tuck off this team and you put Jack Eichel on that team in 2022, and that's the team that missed by 1 point. You're telling me they didn't win another couple of games to make the playoffs that year?
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
you,
Yep.
you know, unfortunately, that's what it comes down to, and we are where we are with this team right now, and
Yeah.
it's just continuing to be that middling team. We can't get and Kevin Adams refuses to move draft picks to get a player that is
Hmm.
either already established or somebody that can come in at 18, 19 years old that can be
Yep.
a superstar almost right away and be a top line player almost right away. So
Hmm.
I I don't want to see another year where we go through and it's almost like a tank year. But I feel like that's
Hmm.
with the way the lines and the roster and everything else looks, it
Hmm.
just it's very almost, I don't want to call it depressing, but it's getting to a point now where it's like, okay, like if you're gonna just roll out a shit team, just tell us. Like say, hey, we're gonna go after Gavin McKenna. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like I get it.
Hmm.
We'll take a year off from watching the Buffalo Sabres. I get it, but clearly that's frowned upon. You can't really tank. They're not guaranteed that first overall pick. We saw that with the McDavid Eichel thing. It's just it's very it's upsetting to a point. Because you set it aside. Like let's be serious. It's sports. We're not the ones playing. We're not
Yeah.
so it's not that serious. But being a fan and being everything and being into it and being it becomes a little bit more serious. It's not life or death, but
Hmm.
it's like this is what I enjoy to do, and you don't want to see um you don't want to go to the movies and watch Iron Man die in every movie. Like
Yep.
that's basically what it comes down to. You want to be rooting for somebody. For any wrestling fans out there, it's like you don't always want to see the bad guy win, and that's
Hmm.
basically what it comes down to. Is you're rooting for, and maybe you do. Maybe you're the one rooting for the bad guy, and
Hmm.
and I look at that as you're the one rooting for Boston. You're the one rooting for Brad Marchand.
Hmm.
So
Oh boy, there he is, Brad Marchand.
I'm, I'm, I'm being a little facetious, but I mean,
Yeah.
I'm being serious though. Is you don't
Yeah.
want to be that. You want to be able to root for, because you're spending all this either money or time or energy on it. You'd at least like to see something come out of it.
Yep, absolutely. Well, you know what it is too, Matt? Colin Cowherd, I don't always agree with this guy, right? But he
Mm-hmm.
always said, if you're going to be bad, at least be interesting, right? And,
Right.
and, and I'll give you an example. Remember when Ted Nolan first came on board and how interesting those teams were?
Mm-hmm.
Even when they weren't making the playoffs, they played hard. They hit. They had those lunch pail guys, and that kind of represented Western New York in general, right? People with big hearts, people that work hard, right? That kind of grind through
Yeah.
tough weather. You know what I'm saying, Matt? You live there. I don't. You understand how it is, and and that's a compliment. It's not a bad thing. It's just, and that kind of represented who the city was, and I think fans
Right.
just got behind that, even when maybe they weren't making the playoffs and losing to Boston every year when I was a kid or Montreal, but those teams were exciting. Those teams had juice. They had just the way that they played.
You
And
were
like you
literally
said,
proud. You were literally proud of the thing that, or the nickname that they got, the hardest working team in hockey.
yes. And now I think Adams has taken some steps to that, getting guys like Josh Stone, right? Getting guys like Kesserling. Now, if this is going to take time, right? I think the Sabres need to recognize that you need those type of players too. I mean, every team needs them, no matter what. But that's how you connect with the fan base, right?
Right.
It's winning is obviously the number one thing, but it's not just that. But here's the problem: this team has beat up the city of Buffalo for so long now. It's going to take a long time for anybody to even see that. Like if we brought back Ted Nolan's team today, right now, right? Fans still won't come back because they're so disconnected with this franchise.
I
It
mean,
goes,
I mean, I mean, hold on. Like, let's be serious though. If they brought back, brought back, even at their age today, they brought back Brad May, Rob Ray, and those guys, Matthew Barnaby. Like, I think fans would come back to see that. But I
yeah,
get what you're saying. Like, you're
yeah,
talking about no name guys. You're talking about
hmm
guys that haven't made a name for themselves. That
hmm
yes, you and I, because of watching, juniors and college and hockey in general, and just being a fan of the sport, have seen these guys that have played and know who they are and know their game a little bit, and a little bit more than a little bit, but I mean,
hmm
seriously, like, the Josh Dones and the Kessel Rings and the
yeah,
whoever. I'm just nothing's coming off the top of my head right now, but
yeah,
um, in all seriousness, though, I mean, that's to the average fan, they don't know who these guys are, and until they actually go out and prove that they're going to be the ones grinding in a corner, they're the ones that are going to be going behind the net in the dirty areas in the front of the net, cleaning up the garbage, all this
hmm
stuff. Until that happens, they don't know who these people are, and they're not going to come and root for them specifically.
yeah,
And that's the tough thing is, until the Sabres are good at this point. Had they put this team together 12 years ago, 13 years ago, you still have fans. They're going to give a chance to,
hmm
put these young kids on the team and allow them to kind of work through it and grind out and whatever. Now it's like the fans are gone until you start winning. They're not coming
yeah,
back.
yep. And the other thing is, when we had Reinhard Nyquil, I thought the city was ready to get on board, right? Like we
Mm-hmm.
had those. Yeah, and listen, fans love forwards, right? Like we have Darlene and Power, two number one overall picks, but without elite goaltending and with just Tage Thompson as an elite forward, it just, I mean, we love the Sabres, and I still find them exciting to watch at times. But let's be honest, there are some nights when it's kind of dull. Let's just cut right to it, right? I'm talking as an average fan, like someone who's walking in the building, right? Like we just don't have those names that kind of move the meter, right? In terms of that, but in terms of adding talent, like you were talking earlier, I saw a tweet from about Dubas from Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
And the problem I think to say, and listen, again, I don't stick up for Kevin Adams very often, right? But the prices for guys like even Brian Russ are through the roof, they're saying, right? They're very, very high. Like the Sabres are going to have to overpay for a guy like Brian Rust or Raquel.
Yeah.
Because the problem is a lot of teams, they had a list of teams that are still looking for top six forwards, Matt. The list is
The
incredibly
Sabres
long.
were not on them.
And they weren't there, but there's so many other teams. So the problem is, even if the Sabres say, hey, we want this player, okay, well, then they're going to say, well, you know what? We like Alex Tucker. We like Peyton Krebs, and the Sabres don't want to give up players for now. They're trying to
Right.
win.
Right.
So, but so it's kind of, I'll give Adams that. It's not as easy with that. But again, we're going to get into that later, but
But
about the reasons
sometimes you got to
why.
take a swing. Sometimes you got to take a swing.
Sometimes you got to take a swing. You're right. You're right. And sometimes you got to overpay a little bit. Sometimes you got to say, hey, maybe if we get Rickard Raquel, maybe we give Pittsburgh a 2026 one that's top three protected. Take a shot. Take a shot. Like, I know it seems like a lot, but just top three protected in case that, so then you keep McKenna just in case, or if it hits the number 2 or 3 pick, right? And then you give up
Right.
2027's first. So sometimes you got to take that risk. I mean, again, you put a guy like Ricard Raquel into this lineup, Matt. It changes a lot.
Hmm.
It doesn't make us a Stanley Cup contender or anything. I'm not suggesting that, but just if you move a guy like that, it just like you've been saying for so long, and it's so true. It just moves everybody into better positions, right? It makes Zach Benson more effective. It makes
Hmm.
Jack Quinn. By the way, there's another player that's available that has Jarmo ties, and that's Chinkov, Yegor Chinkov from Columbus. He's 24. Now, the thing about him is, Matt, you look at his scouting report, great shot, some playmaking ability, offensive
Yeah.
upside, some defensive liabilities. Doesn't that kind of sound like Jack Quinn? So it's sort of redundancy for the Sabres a little bit to me. He's interesting because he's got talent, right? And I feel like he's a guy, if he gets the opportunity, like if you put him on the top line with a Norris and a Thompson, could be very interesting. And then again, it moves Benson down. You could put Zucker on the second line still. You could put Benson on the third line with Kulik and Greenway. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean, and
but I
that's the
hate
thing.
but I hate to agree with you.
We got to
Go ahead. I'm
stop
sorry.
talking about like no, you're okay. We got to stop talking about like top lines and things like that. We got to start looking at this team as because they clearly don't have or they're not running with a top line, right? They're literally running Lindy Ruff's system where they're just putting out guys that are putting out guys. Like not there's a purpose for them going out there, but um
Yeah.
like he even when he was here before with the Sabres, when it was Briere and Jury, they all ran a top line. Like any
Hmm.
line that had Jury on it was a top line. They could go out and score any goal that they wanted to. Same thing with Briere. Same thing with Roy, because
Hmm.
those are your three centers, and then they had their fourth line, fighting, grinded out type line with Peters and Adam Mayer and Coletta.
I miss Adam Mayer. I love Adam Mayer. So
I mean, so here, I wanted to look this up real quick. I was trying to do a little research. So not only the Sabres' top four defensemen:
hmm.
Samuelson, Byram, Dahlin, and Power.
Hmm.
Power drafted first overall. Dahlin drafted first overall. Samuelson drafted at the end of the first round, number
Oh, that's
32.
oh
Number
Byram.
32. No, no, no,
Okay.
no. Hold on.
Oh, Samuelson. I'm
That's
sorry.
Samuelson. Yeah,
My
Samuelson. He
mistake.
got drafted in the first as the first pick of the second round, which is basically like a first round pick in the
Hmm.
NHL. And then Bowen Byram was taken fourth overall. So you now have basically top four defensemen that were drafted in the top of the draft.
Hmm.
So if this doesn't work and this whole thing doesn't work, I mean,
Hmm.
there's something going on where it's at this point it's the
Hmm.
players. It's not anything that anybody's done because these guys are
Matt,
I
call me
don't care.
nuts. Do, are there too
You're
many first round
nuts.
picks on this
You're
team?
nuts.
Yeah, no, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like first round picks are usually players that have dominated, through high school, through juniors, whatever it is, college, right? Like sometimes, like we've talked about. Look at some of the names you mentioned this morning: Adam Mayers and Colettas and Barnabys. Like, do we have too much of that on defense? Like, we have the talent. Like, Real Deal said earlier, and I agree. This could be a fantastic pair. I mean, Byram and Darlene is. There's not many teams that could throw that out there. There's very, very few. Owen Power as the second option is tremendous, right? And if you pair him with Kesserling, like I liked our defense now, even with Matthias Samuelsson, right? Now I'd still like to get rid of Matthias Samuelsson. And I saw a tweet this morning, by the way, Matt, of from Nick Kyprios, that maybe they're really questioning Matthias Samuelsson, whether his health wise constantly could his salary be moved out and find a way to keep Bowen Byram. This was 14 hours ago. So maybe there's still something to a Matthias Samuelsson move. Again, maybe I'm just blind, cautiously optimistic, Matt. But Jason Botterill in Seattle. is the one that's tied to Matthias Samuelsson, and they want to move a guy like Jared McCann. I mean, let's make it happen. I mean, let's pair it together. Let's make a connection here somehow. But
Yeah,
again,
I'm not a big fan of like I think that you need a guy like Matthias Samuelsson, basically
mhm,
driving that third line.
mhm,
Um, you got Bowen Byram signed for the next 2 years. You
mhm.
have time. You have time to figure it out.
Yeah,
Because if it doesn't work with Samuelsson, he gets hurt again.
yeah.
Buy him out. Buy him out next year. We're
Yeah, Samuelsson
clearly.
needs a tough pair next to him, right, Matt? Would
Mhm,
you agree? He needs someone with some physicality, toughness, because he's not that. I mean, he's 6'4", but he wouldn't
mhm.
hit a fly at times. It feels like when Samuelsson, but put a guy
Well,
next
and
to him
that's
that
the thing.
can, so he doesn't have to do it.
When he
Yeah,
came into the league, he was hitting everything that moved. He was playing
yeah.
that
What
dirty.
happened?
That's why he got. So I think maybe the injuries maybe are getting to him a little bit, and
Yeah,
I think maybe he's playing a little hesitant. So
hmm
maybe that. Who knows? Maybe he's finally going to
could be fair.
feel. Maybe he's not going to feel so injured this year, and maybe he
Yep.
goes out and starts
hmm
hitting guys. But it just for a while seemed like he had some of the worst luck that could was known to man. Like he'd go and
Fair.
make a hit, he'd go make just a routine hit in the corner, and he'd tear a knee. Like it's like
hmm
like what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Very true. There's still times that I do like Matthias Samson. I still think he could be. He played a little bit better as the year went on last year too. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
after that whole incident with Tage Thompson, he played a little
Yeah.
bit better down the stretch. He was showing a little bit, but Matt's like the late great Bobby Knight always said, right? Say what you want about him. He was nuts, but he was a great coach, right? Game's 90% mental, right? And you look
Mm-hmm.
at, like you said about injuries. Look at Jack Quinn, right? That's why I'm interested to see Jack Quinn. Poor Jack Quinn, he went through that's a pretty traumatic injury he went through, and that takes about 24 months, not only in terms of your Achilles, but also right here, man. And you and I, you know that.
Yeah.
We got to remember these guys are human, right? I mean, I know they're in their 20s and they're in impeccable shape and all that, but they're still human, right? There's still a level of confidence, and maybe Samuelson and Quinn, if the Sabres say, hey, listen, you just do your thing. You guys, we expected a lot out of you, but now they could just kind of do their thing on the third lines, the third pairing. Maybe they can get some out of those two guys.
See, and that's the thing. I think Quinn is ready for a breakout year. I really do
hmm
because he was on the verge of doing that going into the summer before he tore his Achilles in
hmm
July a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and then they brought him back way too quick. He was ready, but they brought him back way too quick, and then he got injured again, re-injured either the Achilles or whatever the heck he injured again, and so
hmm
basically that's why I said, and that's why I was telling you all year last year when we were talking. This is a reset year for Jack Quinn. Look at it like this is his rookie year. He's coming off the injury. He's got to get reacclimated to the game. He's got to get reacclimated to how his shot is and everything else. And it comes down to it. And Jack Quinn needed that time. He needed that reset year. So now he can kind of go in and have because you saw it as the year was going on and going on and going on. He was
hmm
finding his legs, he was finding his shot, he was finding
Yep.
everything. And then all
hmm
of a sudden, like with like 20 games left, he was starting to look like the Jack Quinn that was in it from his rookie year, where he was starting to like go. And now I think that reset year last year is his rookie year, so that's you're going to see him potentially break out this year and be on that upward trajectory. I wish they wouldn't have done a bridge deal with him. I wish they would have signed him to like a 4 or 5 year deal instead of a
hmm
2 year deal because I think that he's going to have a breakout and he's going to end up being going somewhere or it's going to cost the Sabres from he's going to be too valuable.
Yeah.
So it's going to cost the Sabres dearly to keep him here. But
hmm
I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Yep. Well,
I
I
think
think
that
I think it's a two-way street. I think it's Byron pulling a little bit of a Darlene here, where he took that 3 year. Remember, he took that 3 year deal where he bet. Remember, he had that horrible
well,
year
I was
under.
talking Quinn. I was talking Quinn, not Byron.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I'm still on Bowen Byram. My head is so on Bowen Byram today. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I get you with Quinn, but maybe Quinn's doing the same thing too, Matt. This with the new cap and everything accelerating, the way it is. Um, And maybe the Sabres wanted to give themselves flexibility too, in the sense of maybe if he doesn't prove it, let's say the 2 years go by here and Quinn is still wallowing and kind of, doing some of the things he was doing, then maybe we have to move off him
Right.
as well. So that,
Right.
so at least they're not locked in for those long amount of years. I don't mind that too much, to be truthful. They still have control over Quinn. I believe, do they still have an RFA year with him? I gotta check.
I think they still have one or two because he's only 23, I think. So that puts him at 25.
23. So at least they still have another year. Yeah, I'm actually going to verify that with you. Yeah, he's still an RFA in 2 years. So they still have actually two more R years. So it's kind of good in a way that they still have that control, even if he does break
Mhm.
out, that they could say, hey, okay, maybe at that point when he's 25, then if you
Let's
give him
do a
that
long
7 year
term deal.
deal,
Yeah.
then they'll take him to 32, which is reasonable instead of 35, like some of these guys are going.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
again, some things the Sabres aren't doing aren't terrible with the contracts. I mean, it's not all that bad. So I mean, we hope for a good Alex Tuch extension. That would be nice news over the summer too. That would be nice to see if we could get him locked up as well.
Yeah. I still have that. I'm still looking at 8 for 8.
Yeah,
I think that's the number for him.
I agree.
Maybe they come in a little bit lower, a little bit higher,
Hmm.
but I'm sticking on my 8 for 8. I think that that's a good.
Yep.
That 8 was $64 million. I think that that's a
So
good spot.
even though he's 29, you're okay with giving him 8 and just say because he's just so
Yeah.
like he'll be 36, 37. I mean, he'll still be a good player, but listen, I'm
Because
okay with
you
that.
got to remember, like they can, because of the way that the cap works in the NHL, it's on that
Hmm.
AAV, so they can front load the deal, and his last couple
True.
years could be very low, where it's not going to hurt them.
That's true.
So
Yeah, so that would be some good news. And I do expect that. I really expect between now and the time the Bills kick the ball off in September, just to put that as a reference point, I would expect that Alex Tuck will be tailgating at week one with a brand new contract for the Buffalo Sabres. I do expect it. I think it's going to come in about 8.5 at most. I agree with you. I feel like he's going to be like Josh, where he's going to try to find a little bit, wants to get paid, but wants to get that sweet spot where it's not crippling the team.
well, and that's why I said I think that the reported number is 9. I think he gives them that million
Hmm.
and a half reprieve. Where you're at 7.58.
Hmm.
And it kind of gives them a little bit more wiggle room, and they structure the contract however they need to. Yes,
Hmm.
it's an $8 million per year cap hit, but starting at
Hmm.
like 36, he's making like I don't want to say vet minimum, but like maybe only like $2 or $3 million. So his cap hit in those last couple years is a
Yep.
lot lower. So
Yep.
I mean, we'll definitely see how that goes for Alex Tuck, but I hope to hear personally. I hope to hear it by the time the Bills kick off for training camp.
Hmm.
But I mean, and we're talking next Wednesday, so who knows? Who knows what's
Yep.
going to happen? But I'm so excited
And
for this Bills season.
I
So excited for the. Oh man, this is probably one of the most excited I've been in a while. Um,
I
for a
think
Bills season.
Matt, I'll tell you what, I think the next 3 years for the Bill, I look at this as a year, this is like the version two of the Josh Allen era, right? It's kind of like we put ourselves
Yeah.
in it. Not to it's a Bills show, but they have so much young talent on defense that I think it's not all or nothing for me this year. They could just as well win next year too. I know we want to win
Mhm.
now, but what I'm saying is that some of those guys are going to take time to develop and bust out. You know what I mean? I think they're in a position where they could do that. So I think the next 3 years for the Bills is looking really, really strong right now. So very exciting time on that side, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully with the Sabres, they can
They
figure
can
something.
follow the
Lucas
same.
in
Yeah,
the
follow
model.
the
That'd
same
be
path.
nice. Yeah,
Follow the
because the
same
city
path.
wants it. Matt, the city wants it, right? And by the way, I mean, right now they got 7 million of cap space. One more guy to sign, really, and that's Connor Timmins. He's an RFA. I would like to see, what do you think for Connor Timmins, Matt? I mean, you think a couple years, maybe, maybe
2.5.
three?
Yeah,
Maybe you want to give him 3
two,
years, maybe?
2 or 3 years at 2.5, 2.1, two
Yeah.
and a half.
Okay.
Nothing
So
more
then
than
that would
that.
give us about 5 million of cap space for. I got to be honest, just looking at that alone, Matt, I think this is your Buffalo Sabres in
Yeah,
2025, twenty twenty
yeah,
six. I mean,
I absolutely agree.
barring a Samuelson deal involving a guy like we just talked about with McCann, which I still would not be object because I think McCann would be a nice addition to the top six. But I think this is what we're looking at going forward.
Yeah,
And it's, not, some Sabre fans, a lot of Sabre fans are going to be disappointed, and rightfully so. I can't sit here and disagree with them on that.
no,
I still
no,
think I still think they can be better than people think, and I still like some of the moves they've made. But are they going to have enough on offense? But you brought up something interesting too, Matt. Is this more of a Lindy Ruff type team? All four lines, working together, doing the. Remember, he always talked about the little
mhm.
things that they didn't get right this year, right? With on the defensive side, the little things they got to clean up. Does that start to clean itself up, and then we start winning some of those games that we blew so often this year?
Not if UPL's in net. Sorry to tell you, like I
You are not a UPL guy at all.
it
I
I
still
loved
have.
him coming in. He's 6'4", 220 pounds. Like the guy,
Yeah,
and he moves like a friggin' cat. He should be
yeah.
top
Hmm.
five goaltender in the NHL. That's the way his skill set is. The way that he won juniors or whatever it was that year,
Hmm.
the World Cup or whatever he won for Finland or whatever.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
that's what was coming into the NHL, and then he just never developed. He's
Hmm.
I don't know whether it's a mental thing with him as well, or he's overplaying, or he's basically, I don't know what the word is, what the word is for a goaltender, but basically gripping
Hmm.
the stick too tightly, and
Yep.
like worried. He's standing there like one on one with a guy where you should be stopping it, and he's not coming up with a save. I want to, like, from visuality, it looks like 90% of the time that he's not coming up with that save. I know it's a lot less because he is making some saves, but like it's just
Hmm.
crazy to me. Like you can't have a goaltender that's going to give up 5, 6 goals a night and expect the offense to comply
Agree.
every single time. Like
Yeah.
if they had average goaltending, and here's the problem that I really want to get across to people. If the Sabres had average goaltending last year, they make the playoffs. If they have
Yes.
average goaltending the year before, even with all the injuries, they make the playoffs. They
Yep.
have better than the crappy whatever, and then having to have a rookie goaltender come in and basically almost will you to the playoffs. You win against the Islanders. You hold on. UPL holds on to that Montreal shootout. There's your 2 extra points right there. Like it's just mind blowing to me that they haven't figured out. And I honestly think that Alex Leon is going to be the starting goaltender by the opening day. Like I think that UPL is just. I think he's
Hmm.
too far gone at this point. I think that he's too far gone to be, and
Okay.
he needs a change of scenery. And
Yep.
if he get, if they trade him out, and
Hmm.
that's why I was all for the whole Thatcher Demko move.
Yes.
Swap the guys, and
Hmm.
figure it out. Like UPL
Yeah.
goes to Vancouver, maybe he has success with Quinn Hughes up there and whatever else. Maybe Demko has that same
Yeah.
resurgence here in Buffalo.
We could have gotten John Gibson
Or
too. I
I was
mean,
just going to say John
yeah.
Gibson.
Sorry. Yeah.
John
Yeah.
Gibson.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say because it's unfortunate because you're literally going in with a goaltender that like we talked about before is bringing in a guy that your low end guy that needs the team to kind of like, and maybe Alex Leon flourishes in that situation where now
Yeah.
he's elevated to be able to be that guy.
Yep. Yep. And listen, I would say are you 100% out on UPL? Close to it, like 90s, 100%.
He would literally have to stand on his head and have This year, he would have to have Dominic Hasek-like numbers for me to come back.
Now I'm about 60 to 70% on UPL. I'm probably not quite as far as you are on the ledger. I still have some hope for him. I still think some of his issues do relate to some of the way the forwards and the defense, that some of their responsibilities and the high quality of shots and things. I still want to see a little bit better structure there. And then with some of the changes we made on the defense, I'm curious to see if that gives UPL a little bit more of what he needs just to be more consistent, right? Because we see some
Yeah.
flashes with UPL, right? But we want, like you mentioned, just good goaltending, solid goaltending, and we gain another 8 to 10 points in the standings. We're right there for the playoffs. We're right in the mix.
And what?
Even yeah.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, and
Go
those
ahead.
games that we blew during the 13-game winless streak, we talked about the 4 games we lost with multiple goal leads. You flip those points, you give me 6 or 7 of those points. At the deadline, we're still in this. Maybe we add something. Maybe we go make a move for the playoffs. I mean, it changed everything, right? So the little things, I still think it's still there, but I agree. I think this is almost a make or break year for UPL. That I'll agree. I think because Devin Levi's coming, right? Sooner or later, they got to figure something out with him, right? He's 23. Like if UPL doesn't show it now, even though he's making 4.7, I think that's about it. I think you either look to move him out, or you just gotta say he's a glorified, he's a very expensive backup, and Levi becomes the number one at some point. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, no, and here's the thing.
Mhm,
I'm actually looking up something real quickly because I want to see
mhm,
who Lindy Ruff had, because in Dallas, even though
mhm.
those teams weren't successful, like let
Yeah,
the teams that were successful for Lindy Ruff with his system require a goaltender.
yeah, yeah.
And
Require
I'm
goaltender
talking
and certain.
I'm talking like like not
Yeah.
like because the system didn't work with Dwayne Rollison. It didn't work with
Yep.
Marty Baron. It didn't
Hmm.
work with any of those guys. He had
He did
Dominic
have a couple
Hasek.
nice. He did have a couple nice years with Dallas, though. Lindy. He wasn't
I,
that bad.
and that's why I'm trying to look up who his
Yeah.
goaltenders were,
Hmm.
because they also had an amazing offense. They had the Jamie Benn, they had Tyler Seguin, they had all those guys still in Dallas. And it comes down to it is I was trying to figure out who his goaltender was, but even still, even though he had a success there, he never made it like really that far. And you look at his most recent before the Sabres in New Jersey. What was the thing he was always begging for? Not necessarily
Hmm.
begging for, but always clamoring
Hmm.
for, that he
Yep.
needed. And then everybody else, all insiders and everything else, was saying Dallas needs a goal, or New Jersey needs a goaltender. New Jersey needs a
Hmm.
goaltender. New Jersey's looking to acquire a goaltender.
Yep. Oh, by the way, I got your answer on that for
Yeah,
Dallas. And this guy was a solid goalie. Terry Lettinen. Remember him?
yeah. And I was trying to
Solid.
remember
Not,
who his.
not
Yeah,
great. Not great, but he was very good. Like he had some good
yeah,
years.
yeah.
I would say if UPL hits his top level, he could be a guy like Terry Lettinen. And I don't think that's unrealistic to think he could, with a good team in front of him, that he could do it. Like, Lettinen isn't Shesterkin, or he's not at that level, but he was in that mix of
Mm-hmm.
competent, solid, starting number one goalies, which is really what we were hoping for at a UPL. So if we could do that, but like you said, he's got a lot to prove. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with UPL like this. Like
So
I really think this is a make or break year for him.
for me, UPL has to be between 9-1 and 9-3 for the save percentage, and probably between
Hmm.
like your 235 to 270 for goals
Yep.
against.
Yep.
And I
That.
think that gets
Yeah.
you a solid goaltender. I think that's solid
Yep.
goaltending.
That and consistency too is what I would like to
Mm-hmm.
see too, Matt. I agree with you 100%. Um, like for example, how about his 2023-2024 season, Matt? 27, 22, and 4, 910 save percentage, 2.57 goals against, 5 shutouts. I think we
That
would
was
sign
you.
up for that. That was Ukko
So
Pekka Luukkonen 2 years ago when he was 24.
I'd like
Solid.
to see this. I'd like to see the split from that year, though.
Yeah, I would like to see that as well. But I think listen, if that's the kind of goalie I'm looking for, though. You talk, like you said, that kind of hits exactly what your numbers were saying. But that's the only year he's done that. That's it.
And
There was just that year.
that 3 months that helped bump those numbers up.
Yeah.
It was that
Yeah.
three and a half month span that
Mhm.
he was able to bump those numbers up. And
Yep.
that's why I said I'd like to see the split between the beginning of the year and that 3 months after the All-Star break or whatever it was, where he came back and was just on fire. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it
Yeah.
finally clicked. It finally clicked. We have a starting goaltender. We have, and
Mhm.
that's when the Sabres gave him the deal and everything else. And then now it's just like, boo.
Yeah.
He's back to being. It's back to being.
Definitely.
He's back to being, that goaltender that just still trying to find it. And I don't know what it is, with the UPL. And I
Yeah.
really wish they would have moved off of him this year and not given him another chance. And even if you have to
Mhm.
bring in 2 FA goaltenders, that's fine. Trade them for
Well,
picks, trade them for
it's the 4 years that bothered me on that deal, man. They should have given him a 2-year deal instead of 4. I think 2 years would have been fine. He like you're right. He had that 3 months of he was very, very good. He's one of the best goalies in the second half of the year league. He was excellent.
yeah,
But then they said, hey, let's give you a 4-year deal based on what he was a 3.61, 891 the year before, 320 last year. I mean, this guy has only done it once. Why should they be giving him dolling out a 4-year deal for that guy? That was just a little
right.
too quick. They should have said, hey, great year UPL. How about we sell you on a year or two, and then you could sign again for even more if you keep doing it again.
Uh-huh.
Now, if he falters this year, and let's say he was a free agent, okay, no harm, no foul. We move off him and we go look for another goaltender. But like you
Right.
said, Matt, that was we talked about one of the staples of the old Sabres. The lunch pail was always goaltending. This is something that
Mm-hmm.
that Buffalo's tradition from Ryan Miller back, for those old enough like you and me to remember, goaltending was always a staple in Buffalo. Even during some of their not so great years, they always had solid goaltending. I mean, that's
Because the
something
way
that
that
they have.
the way that I look at it personally is goaltending is part of your defense, right?
Hmm.
So if your defenseman and even your forwards can't trust that the goaltender is going to make a save, even if they get, even if somebody goes 1-on-1 because they're doing the other 5 guys are doing their job. If the 6th guy isn't doing their job and stopping the puck,
Hmm.
like the guys aren't going to have confidence around them.
Yep.
And then, so it kind of comes down to it's all got to work as one in the defensive zone. So
Hmm.
it's almost like, is it going to be Lindy Ruff's system that fixes it on
Hmm.
defense? Because we know that he wants to play that high flying whatever on the offensive side, but being very, very, very sound defensively. Like that's the main thing that Lindy Ruff takes away from, if we're winning games 2-1, great, fine. His defense, but you have to have a goaltender that's going to be able to stop that.
Hmm. Yep.
So I mean that's really what it comes down to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in the last few minutes here, I'm going to bring up our illustrious leader. So give me 1 second here.
Oh, look who makes an appearance on a Saturday morning. Look at this.
Still Friday night for me, buddy.
there,
Why am I not
there.
surprised by that? What's up, brother?
Nothing much, guys. Coming in to just say you guys are kind of stalwarts, keeping this hockey thing going,
That's what we
keeping
do.
it palatable, keeping it on topic, and you know, sometimes this fandom has a lot of analogous instances with where we were during the drought years.
Hmm.
I guess I just had a couple questions for you before I go in and promote what Matt and I are doing later.
Sure.
What what parallels can you draw, and what dissension can you orientate your frustration to in terms of the Bills drought years versus where we're at currently with the Sabres?
Brian, I'll let you take that first.
I think Matt hit on it earlier, and I'm going to keep reiterating it. The Sabres, since they got Eichel and Reinhart, right? They've never been bad enough to get, like I said, we going into a year where we have a generational player coming in, right? But we all know the Sabres are probably going to win enough games to be out of that equation, right? We're going to get some pick like number 9 or number 10, and he's not going to make an impact for 3 or 4 years. Like we need that we need that guy again
He's such a sweet
to kind of
man.
save the program, right? It's just and it's just the Sabres have been wallowing in this quote. I call it the forever rebuild, right? I feel like Henrik Lundqvist was a great goalie for the Rangers, right? He said the Sabres are acting like they're not in a rebuild, but they're playing like they're in a rebuild. And this is a guy that isn't even connected with the Sabres, and that comment resonated with me so hard. I said, you know what? He could even see it, right? Just the way they play on the ice, just the way they operate off the ice. That's their problem. Like they're just in this like forever funk ever since they started the tank for McDavid. They just can't get out of this idea of that's acceptable.
Beyond, I have a touch of a question before Matt chimes in. Is I've noticed something really concerning about the Sabres is that no one has a concerted, defiant idea of who's to blame, who can fix it, and when it will be fixed.
Listen, Terry Pagula's quote still resonates with me. Our whole existence is to win a Stanley Cup. Well, I don't see it. And does it start right at the top with Terry Pagula? We got to look at it.
He is the director of hockey operations.
Yes, that's the problem. Again, who's the voice of the Bills right now? It's Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane goes on Pat
Fucking
McAfee. Right?
Eric
Brandon
Wood,
Beane,
baby.
Eric Wood,
not
too,
the voice,
but,
not the voice, but like the.
You know what I mean? Yeah, the voice. But you know what I mean? It's just it's like this guy Terry Pagula should never be in front of a mic unless he's winning a Super Bowl with the Bills. Like that's the only time I want to see him on the mic. That's it. I don't want to see him anywhere near the podium. So the Sabres, they need that experienced hockey guy, the guy that takes all the bullets. Not Kevin Adams either. I'm not talking. Kevin Adams can be the GM behind the scenes, but I need that president of hockey operations. Remember they brought in LaFontaine? That was a disaster. He stayed 15 minutes?
Yeah.
I love the idea, but then he left. Right?
So
Why did he leave? So yeah, why did these guys leave? What's the why here? And the constant I see, and I'm going to throw something else out there, and I hate to talk like this, but didn't it seem like Terry was letting Kim kind of run the Sabres, and then unfortunately what happened with Kim? Is there any truth to that? Like you know what I mean? Because unfortunately poor Kim with her health issues, did that change the trajectory of this franchise?
I cannot speak on that.
Yeah.
I would like to open up both of your guys' Bambi eyes real quick.
Sure.
The Sabres don't matter from a business standpoint. They're a business operation. They're a business operation. And I'm of the volition that owners of sports teams should not be allowed to own multiple teams. That is how collusion starts. That is how competitive drive falls by the wayside. And this is not a unique point. This is brought up by Katie Nolan, ex ESPN. She's been everywhere. A very smart cookie. When you have multiple owners owning multiple teams, it's hard to segment your attention, and it's easier to collude a balance sheet as a business, not a competitive enterprise. And I feel like no one is talking about it. That the Sabres are a business. The Bills are the passion.
You know what's funny?
And that's kind of how it's run.
And you know what, student? Hockey feeds off passion more than probably just about any sport out there.
And that's case in point. With a lack of passion is a lack of a lack of results, and it just becomes a vehicle of enterprise to fund the passion. Would you say that we have a passionate owner right now for the Sabres?
No, not even a little bit.
Unfortunately, in the NHL, these things are left to decay. Right? In the NFL, because it is a revenue sharing enterprise where their numbers are public because of the Green Bay Packers. They are a public team, right? It's an old boys club in the NFL because they all drive one another. That's why stadiums are so quick to be publicly financed because the leverage thing. That's why there's so much drive for an uplifting to get the Amazon TV contract. You don't see those contracts in the NHL. You don't see. I guess TNT got one. I didn't know they
Yeah.
still exist if Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny Davis didn't. Seriously, and they can't
Love that
afford
show.
them. I think
Yeah.
we have to accept that the Sabres are a business enterprise that are viewed at this point with such a lack of success and so many iterations of trying to make it better. They're a balance sheet to fund
Yep.
the greater enterprise. That's all I want to ask.
And
Matt, to you. Sorry about that.
go ahead, Matt. Matt,
Rebut.
Matt, Matt, go for it.
I
I don't watch
kind
hockey,
of
by the way.
agree. No, I kind of agree.
Mhm.
I really do. I think, but Terry Pagula came in and bought the Sabres and was very, very passionate about them. I just want to know what changed. Clearly he found that he can make more money in the NFL. The Bills when he bought them were $1.4 billion valuation. They're now up in the fives.
I don't know, but we'll continue. Yeah, but I would say this: there are 10 new
Yeah.
investors that came in and took an equity stake in the Buffalo Bills.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'll tell you what.
You don't think any of them were afforded an opportunity to get into the other arm of Pagola's Sports Entertainment Group, and that's never happened? That just
Yep.
leads me to the point I am trying to kind of get somebody to talk about is.
You know,
here's the thing. They might not matter to and I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. They might not matter to the upper echelon and everything like that, but they matter to everybody in Buffalo. They matter
yes.
to everybody outside of Buffalo.
Not what I'm refuting.
Fans.
Well,
I'm not talking about. I could care less about Terry Pagula. He's not the one that
you really should. Because he's making
Yep.
your life harder as a Sabres fan by putting you by the wayside and keeping you around as 2-day-old Folgers coffee.
And I get that.
2-day-old Folgers coffee. I like.
I get
I've never
that.
had a cup of coffee in my life.
I'm just saying I don't care about.
Imagine.
I don't care about Terry Pagula as whatever. That's do whatever. Yeah. I care about the Buffalo Sabres and the Buffalo Bills.
Are they doing right by you?
The way that I look at it is the Bills are winning and they're doing whatever they can to win and continue forward. The Sabres are middling hockey. They're doing just enough to
middling.
They're doing just just enough to get. They're doing just enough to get a 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pick, 13th pick in the entry draft. They're not tanking. So if they're stuck in that middle there,
you're making my point.
I know I am, but I could care less about. I could care less about Terry Pagula. That's all I'm saying is.
But
I get it.
Yeah.
All they needs to do because it's proven. Minus the COVID couple of years, now that we're out of that, that he's willing to spend the money if there's a reason to spend the money. They spent $8 million on a 1-year deal for Taylor Hall. They went out and signed the best player in free agency that year.
but
where also, is that urgency now? So it comes down to it for me. Is as much as we joke around and say because of the whole thing that Andrew Peters and Craig Rebay put out about Terry Pagula saying that he was the director of hockey operations, that's neither here nor there. The person in charge right now, publicly facing, is Kevin Adams until we're told differently. He is the one that is actually in charge right now. So with him not going to Terry Pagula and saying, hey, I need this, this, and this, and this, spend the money, then you're not doing a good enough sales job to say, hey, if we bring all this stuff in, you're going to turn around and actually fill the arena and make money.
Matt, this is how palatable it is. Who's under Terry Pagula on the Buffalo Bills?
Brandon Beane.
Who's under Brandon Beane?
Sean McDermott.
No, there's another name. You know who
Oh, well,
it's
Terrence Gray.
No, Jim.
Oh, Overdorf. Yeah, Jim Overdorf. Yeah.
Who's under Kevin? There is not a sticky rubric of accountability with the Sabres.
Yeah. By the way, guys,
go ahead.
No, there was a tweet yesterday that should have a lot of Sabre fans concerned. Chris Johnston said the Sabres' yearly struggles are, quote, concern at the league level and not good for the league as a whole. The league is noticing. Okay. And the other thing is, listen, if there's a sale, when somebody buys a team at that price, what's the best way to make some more money and flip that, right? What's the best thing you can do? When you have facilities that are old,
they're not moving. They're not
No,
moving. I'm
no,
telling
but
I'll say we got to be careful here. I agree with you.
the
Listen, it's a
net.
great market, but I worry about it because there's
you. I don't.
a lot of markets out there that want to expand. The NHL wants to expand. You have Houston, you have Austin, you have Atlanta, you have
But
Kansas
there
City.
is
You have a
bleed. There
lot of
is
markets.
bleed from the NFL to the NHL. There is bleed.
Yeah.
There is social influence with the NHL.
Mhm.
That would never happen just because of the tetherness.
I
But
hope you're right. Yes, but
there
it
is.
has me just concerned. I'll be honest. It
But
does have me a little
also,
concerned.
we know the Jordan company went in, and what was it, Matt?
Mhm.
We got the information. What in 2022?
Two-
The Jordan company came
2
in
years. Yeah.
for their Bruins sports group. They didn't want to touch the Sabres.
Mhm.
They didn't have any confidence that going to market with a sale, even in private, would ever reach fruition because of their association with the NFL and stuff like that. Because, guys, if no one has an answer and nothing changes, and there's this feeling of diametrically opposed passion for the ass in the seats, but apathy from the crow's nest, it's all up. It's not Kevin Adams stuff. Like Kevin Adams is allowed to exist because it's not a priority. These guys coming and going for pennies on the dollar, like you said, max contracts, and then they go win a cup, and it doesn't matter. It's flowing up. That's just where I'm at, and that's just one I wanted to interject. Beyond, you look so handsome.
Oh, thank you. Especially at 8 a.m. out here.
I feel like I talked out of turn, so I had to give someone a compliment.
Oh,
Much
you're good.
appreciated.
You're good.
No,
You're
this is
good.
a great
We're
conversation about the
yeah.
Sabres. It's a very honest conversation that a lot of us Sabre fans need to have. I mean, it's the elephant in the room, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Where's the real issue, right?
And what arrives me at that point is that there are so many different. This could be the solution. This could be the blame and stuff like that. No one wants to go up and just
Mhm.
don't
You
want
get
to
some
talk to
love,
people.
of
Want to
course.
show some love to my buddy student. Yo, I love
There you
that
go.
guy. That guy is one of the
Yeah.
most intelligent people ever. I really do.
Thanks for
He's great.
joining us, Mafia Sports. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Anyway, we're gonna rebrand this called Saturday Morning Lights. Hope that's okay with Patton. So, Maddie, tell them what we got going on today.
Yep.
Good Lord. Got to turn
Yeah,
that
what you
mic
got
down
today,
in those heads. So we're going to be at MafiaCon. Super excited to be at MafiaCon.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes.
We're going to have Alec Anderson on. We're going to have Woody Ribick on.
Mhm.
Poncho and President Poncho's Army is going to be.
I'll be on.
I'm so jealous. I wish I
Well,
could be there
yeah,
with you guys
absolutely.
today. Oh, that sounds
I
good.
figured they knew you and I'd be on. It's third manageable, man.
Mhm.
We're the ones doing it. So
you have to manage my three personalities, and Matt has to manage the whole thing. So, anyway, also to promote it, one of the best things we have going right now is on Wednesdays, the Coast to Coast podcast with you and Whittle.
I appreciate you. Hey, Whittle's a joy to work with. If anybody hasn't listened to Whittle, trust me, he forgets more about the
The
draft and
Almighty
players than I remember.
show my man some respect. The Almighty,
The Almighty Whittle, yes,
Matt.
the one and only.
Matt, what was it like meeting him in person?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
He's such a cool dude. He is really a cool
Yes.
dude. We literally sat at the bar in New Jersey and had a couple of pops and some New Jersey style pub pizza and
Nice.
wings, and actually probably the best wings I've had outside of Buffalo. To be honest with you.
That warms my heart being a Jersey guy. Yes, that.
But it's funny though. It's funny. They literally said the bartender goes, "We have two different types of wings. We have ones that are breaded
flats and drums.
Ones that are breaded." And I go, "Yeah, if those come out here, they're going back in the kitchen. What are the other kind?" So.
Yeah.
But beyond just a kind of like get a little bit of network candor. Matt called me right after that night, and you mind if I share this? He goes to me. He goes, "Yo, I get why you love Whittle." Yeah. He's like, "Yo, I get it." Yeah. So if you guys are out tonight, 3:25 p.m. at the Seneca One Tower, 1 Seneca Street in Buffalo, New York, we have the dog. Who? the dog.
Alec Anderson.
Alec Anderson.
He'll be joining us live. Woody Ribbeck, the ex head of equipment. We might talk about what we're probably going to get the night of the 21st. It might be New Jersey's. Guys, good to be seen. Just wanted to pop on real quick.
Nothing but illustrious guests as well. Just remember, that's my favorite. So,
oh man, I love you guys.
Thanks.
Love you too, man. Well, Matt, that was great. That was great. We need that. We need Student to pop in every so often, once in a while, or have a little Sabres roundtable during the summer, so we can get into it. But
Yep. So with that being said, I know we got to get out of here. We've had a great discussion today. We want to thank everybody for watching. We will be back. We will be announcing our time shortly, because next week we'll be back here, same time, same place, because I got off next Saturday as well. But after that, nice. I don't think I'm going to have any more Saturdays off, because I think my days are going to be switching to Sundays and Mondays, because I'll be making the schedule now. So, leading
we will find the best time to give us Sabre fans the outlet and the information that you all need.
Absolutely.
So definitely.
Absolutely. So real quick, Brian, as always, man.
Great week. Great kind of luck.
Join Beyond and Whittle, like students said, on Wednesday nights, 9:00. Join Chase. Join Chase on Fridays. Pat on Fridays. Join us on every Saturday for Third Manageable. We'll Beyond and I will also let you know about Hockey Hotline, and we have a couple new shows coming on, so definitely look out for them. So
exciting times.
Everybody enjoy, and it's good to be seen.
Go Sabres.